Peace. Welcome to the episode one of Yo, peace. Welcome to episode one of season three, titled Burnout. Today we're gonna dive into the topic that we feel as though is affecting many men across the world, and that topic is burnout, right? So it's more than just fatigue. Burnout is complex emotions dealing with a person's mental state, their emotional state, and just overall in general, feelings of feeling overwhelmed. So, as we navigate this episode, we're going to explore different unique pressures that men face today in society. Pressures around, different previous generations that, raised us. And we're going to be contending and thinking about, what we have taken away from just seeing burnout among men in our lives. So we want y'all to tap into this episode, man. Follow us here and let's unpack it together. Um, Check it out. Peace.
Hey,
All right, so social burnout is a feeling of being mentally, emotionally, and physically drained from too much social interaction, too much work, etc. And it can cause irritability, anxiety, and a strong need to withdraw and recharge. So, with that being said, what pressures, do you guys feel like men are carrying today that previous generations, I guess, didn't experience?
definitely the advancement of technology, the internet, social media, which has increased globalization to where you can see what somebody's doing across the globe. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the people that you wouldn't normally see without social media, you see them on a day-to-day basis in your timeline. And it gives kind of like a comparison syndrome to where it makes you feel like you're not doing good enough. You see a lot of people on vacations, you see a lot of people touring, or a lot of people spending money on material things, wealthy material things. If you really don't have a sense of self, you'll start to comparing yourself and you're starting to get down because you feel like you're not as successful as these people that you're seeing on social. That's one of the pressures that I'm seeing, like, mentally, especially from the youth, where they follow the trends that's on social media and they feel like they have to keep up. It's kind of like a keeping up with the Joneses thing. So that's one of the pressures that I definitely do see.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. I definitely see that one. What about you, True Universal?
Definitely everything that Victoria said. I have no disagreements there. He hit it right on the money.
You
Right.
got
Do you have
those
any
pressures.
additional one? Go
You
ahead.
got those pressures. You got AI pressures. Because, and I guess this will go for like middle-aged people. I mean, youth too. But the working class is now being transformed. You know what I'm saying? To where the same task that a person could get a normal job for is getting taken over by AI. So that's another pressure for our people, especially in American culture, to actually up their skills and actually make themselves more valuable in the workforce. And just to shift their mind on work now because a lot of the redundant tasks or the easy tasks are getting taken over. So now we have to think more for ourselves and we have to actually be of use to these companies if we want to get hired. So that's another pressure that is coming down.
So we have a social, more so like an occupational pressure added with dealing with the technology and the different types of stuff that's coming up on the technological stage. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's adding a occupational pressure for people to stay current in their skills in this day and time,
Mm-hmm.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Now, did you have anything you want to say, God, True Universal, on that?
Don't have anything right now.
So would you say that that's like, is that like a pressure that past, generations didn't have? In the sense of like, okay, it may look different, right? But I mean, it's always
Mm-hmm.
been a time where again things is constantly changing. You know what I'm saying? So it might have, the 40s, some might have been the pressure of, hey, you about to get drafted. You know what I'm saying? Or Vietnam, hey, you about to get drafted. You see what I'm saying? Different things that were taking place in, the 40s or 50s or 60s, it may have looked different, the different pressures that they might have been facing at that time, but it was still some type of economic or social political change that was kind of putting the bill there. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
is this something that has never been seen before, or is this something that's just showing itself just in a different way again?
It's something that's never been seen before. And the reason being is because we're in the information age. See, back then, to get information back then, you would have to go to a library. You would have to go to books. You know what I'm saying? And you would have to really go in depth with your research through books. You didn't have the internet like that for real. So versus today, you have it right on hand. If I want to know the answer to a question, I could just search it up, you know. And that's what makes these times different than those times. Like even with doing certain things in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, you couldn't just order something, or you know, sometimes if you did want to go to a store looked way different. You know what I'm saying? We probably wouldn't have department stores. You probably would have one person that has this skill set that you would go to work on this. One person has this skill set that you go to work on that or to get this. It really was different back then as opposed to now. But like the main thing is the information, access to information. And we can access information at a rapid rate now. Versus back then, you like I said, you really just had to research and dive in and actually look for books that would support whatever you're trying to research, you know, or have access to peer-reviewed articles from universities so that you could do your research, you know. Now we have it at the click of a button. So now it's like it's moving more rapidly. And then you have this thing called, what you would say, compounding progression. So it's not just so especially with AI, it'll go, let's say, all right, you're estimating that AI is going to take 10 years to actually be functioning in humanoid robots. Well, if AI is working on the AI, it's going to compound on itself. So that 10, as 1 year goes by, that shit gets cut to 8. Then another year goes by, that gets cut to 4. Then another year goes by, now it's already here because it's compounding on itself and it's working on itself. And that's another thing that's interesting with AI as well. I mean, like, certain glimpses of the pressures were here early on, but I don't think it's exactly the same. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I'm saying that.
For sure. No, that's good stuff. So, with the different types of pressures that we're experiencing today, what pressures or what do men feel like, they kind of have to do men feel like they have to carry things alone within all of this? Because I'm thinking like, okay, with all these different pressures, and I know men, but I also know specifically black men, right? We don't necessarily, not in all cases, but at large, black men in America typically have a lone wolf mentality, or they have a mentality to navigate things on their own due to the family structures, the lack of communal support, etc. So do men feel like they got to navigate these social structures alone, or, you know, how are we navigate in that space collectively, I guess?
Unfortunately, yes. Do feel like we gotta walk life alone, do life alone, because sometimes we'll have an idea and it could be too radical for our peers, or it could be too ambitious for our peers, our family members. And so when we come off as radical, when we come off as ambitious, then people start to take a step back because it's pressure that they don't want to deal with. It's time that they don't want to invest in. And so, yeah, we feel like we got to do these things alone so as not to poke the bear, shake the tree, rattle the nest, all these different things. It's an unfortunate feeling because no one wants to feel alone, especially men. We don't like to feel alone. Like, it's one thing to know that you may have to be alone to focus on a certain thing, yet to feel alone, it's not a good feeling. Because then it's just like you look around, it's like I don't have anyone to turn to. I don't have anyone to lean on. So the moment I get fatigued, tired, drained, exhausted, then it's like now I have to stop, slow down, and then I'm losing momentum. And then like Victoria's was saying with the AI, that shit don't get fatigued. Ain't no off button for that joint. So it's like the moment then again, you could also have competition from amongst your peer group. They may have the support, so they may not get that same level of drainage that black men may experience. There's definitely some pressure.
Yeah, it's definitely pressure. And it's like you have a lone wolf mentality because, as a man, you have a certain vision in your mind. And not only do you have a vision in your mind, you have a certain way that that you want to will it into existence, We also need to have certain like minds around you. And generally 9 times out of 10, especially for black men coming up, as we're being raised around our peers might not have the same mindset. Or our peers might shun us for having a mindset or idea that might be creative, but because the conditions that we're in, they're not gonna be able to see that vision, or like I said, they might clown you for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh man, hey man, I wanna go buy some vending machines. You ain't buying no vending machines. You know what I'm saying? Then they start clowning you about, look at him going sell snacks and shit. So it's like conditioning, and then only conditioning not having the right moral support around, it does lead to a man having a lone wolf mentality. You know what I'm saying? And even with the resources, some people don't have resources like a support group, like a brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? And so it could easily be said that yeah, you can find these things, but some of these things aren't readily or accessibly available to us as black men like that. You know what I'm saying? So and then it's like you got to go over the hurdle when they are finding the right group. You know what I'm saying? Finding the right group for you. So it's a lot of hurdles that we have to go through in order to even find our community or find our support. And it's like by the time I go through all these hurdles, I might as well not have done it anyway.
Right. Wow. A lot of stuff to navigate here in the ocean of masculinity.
I know your
So
gears is turning. I know your mind turning right now. You look.
yeah, a lot of
Now when
stuff to navigate. Yeah, so I mean, so I guess that poses a problem or an issue, and it's like, well, how do men solve that particular problem of some of those points that you both made of, like the gods was talking about, a support system, right? How do we solve a support system? Like if someone doesn't have one, how do we solve that, right? And then again, if someone doesn't have an extension of a support system, which is a brotherhood or a group of like-minded, how do you solve finding a group of like-minded people? Like how do men solve these things that can become hindrances or hurdles in their growth or in their aspirations? It's like, how do we really solve that? Obviously, it's probably no one cookie
yeah,
cut away, but it is something that again, young males, in their teenage years, early 20s, etc. It's like people are experiencing these types of things. So it's like, and the conversation is not had how one navigates that. Those are tough waters. Do
yeah,
you guys have any like practical, I guess, insights on how one could go about like solving that
yeah.
or
I got
addressing that?
yeah. So like one of the things, and this is where the other side of the internet and technology, the good side, you know what I'm saying? I trade options, you know what I'm saying? I trade stock options. So it's like, damn, I felt like, yeah, I didn't have a community for a little while and I was learning on my own. And then I found the Discord community that trades stock options. So it's like, and I've been with them for a while now. I want to say like 9, 10 plus years. You know what I'm saying? I've never met these guys a day in my life in person, but they have offered me the most valuable information in that Discord chat. You know what I'm saying? So that's another way you can have a sense of community digitally or virtually. You know what I'm saying? Same for sports betting. I got a sports betting Discord that I'm in. So other sports bettors in there. We run ideas by each other. We run different various thoughts, schemes, plans, you know what I'm saying? Different types of plays with each other, and we run them by each other. If we say, hey, we might bet on this guy, oh, I don't know that he on minutes restriction because he just came off injury. See, we wouldn't know that if we didn't have that community, you know? So I say virtually, like Discord communities, there's other online platforms where you could create an online community and meet with people virtually, you know what I'm saying? Even though it sucks because it's not the physical connection, it still gives you some sense of camaraderie. And then it's like once you develop that rapport with these people, you can meet up in the physical and build, you know what I'm saying? And even if they might not be a cup of tea, at least we know we can connect on this social equality right here. So I know that's one way, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. I like that. True Universal, did you have anything you wanted to add to
No, man, he taking all the good answers. He got all the Family Feud top answers. He getting all the points.
that?
I was
Yeah,
prepared to, man. I'm on it right
yeah,
now.
yeah. No, I agree with what he's saying though. To add on, I do think, yeah, if you're a person out there and whatever your interests are, whatever you're striving to shoot for, there is people out there that are also interested in what you're interested in to the exact degree that you're interested in it, and even more. They might be more interested. So it's a platform somewhere out there, a digital platform, a community space somewhere. It's a Facebook group, whatever. Somebody has already gathered people together across the planet that are also interested in that. And that is powerful because it allows the internet is opened up a whole nother space of access to people cross country, all the way across the planet that you can connect with that you would have never had the opportunity or possibility to connect with within your interests. So I mean, we already are seeing this, and I think this is some specifically for sure that past generations didn't have access to, unless you was a world traveler, was in military, or you was somebody that was able to travel like that. The internet, you can do this shit right here from your living room. So, yo, if you got an interest that you're something that you're interested or passionate about, man, connect with a group and get with those people, man. Network with them, socialize with them. You can always get up with them in a physical form, that you can travel to where they at. They can come see where you at. And hey, man, I think that's a good way to kind of solve that lone wolf mentality, or that problem.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that like identity, like men's identities, how men identify with themselves, do you think that creates like I guess an aspect of burnout for men? How men identify as men and what their roles are. Do you think that ties into them being burnt out?
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely do. If you're a
Okay.
man that has become a father or a husband, there's more responsibilities that come into the mix rather than just being a single adult man.
Hmm.
And so when you have other people that are dependent upon you, they rely on your efforts, your guidance, your wisdom, your knowledge, that's definitely some pressure, because now it's like you have to maintain some momentum to keep things going. Just like a car, and it's like you got to continue to put gas in the car. You got to maintain the tire alignment and rotation, the tread on them. You got to keep all the fluids in the car at optimal levels. It's no different from being a man when you have all these things going on. Like maybe what, 2, 3 generations ago, financial literacy wasn't that big of a conversation. Emotional intelligence wasn't that big of a conversation. It's a major conversation for us men, nowadays. Those of us that's in our 30s, younger men that's in their 20s, growing into adulthood, you have to have some level of financial awareness in order to succeed in life. Like, it's not just about, yeah, I'm gonna just, go to work my 9 to 5, my 7 to 3, whatever your schedule is. Now you got to be thinking about, like, okay, what stocks do I need to get into? What cryptocurrency is the right play? Precious metals. Where's a good time to buy? When's a good time to sell? Like the atmosphere has changed tremendously in order to not be in a state of poverty. That's a shit ton of pressure.
Yeah, I
Right. And
think.
so, go
I
ahead.
was about to. Yeah, I think identity is definitely important in knowing your identity and in knowing who you are. Because if you don't, how it could play into burnout is you could be doing things that aren't you, or doing things that aren't conducive to what you're trying to be or what you striving to do. You know what I'm saying? If I'm a rapper, I'm not gonna sit here and try to do what a plumber do if I want to be a rapper. You know what I'm saying? If I
Right.
want to be a basketball player, I'm not about to try to, practice soccer. You know what I'm saying? Like this is what I want to do. So when you say, "Hey, I'm this," "Hey, I'm that," like it gives you a sense of identity and pride. So now your activities match that identity,
Hmm.
especially with knowing your history or origin, knowing your family, your lineage, what stems from that, as far as tendencies, habits, and character. That plays a part, because then okay, these triggers stem from this. Like if you look at your father, you could tell and look and be like, that's where I get this from. That's where I get that from. And that helps to know yourself. So it's like, okay, going forth, I have to, okay, I could use this as a tool for myself, or I could use it to hold me back. And a lot of black men don't have that. A lot of black men really don't know their identity like that, to know, okay, this is where I want to be, so this is what I have to do. You know what I'm saying? And that's what leads to burnout. Because I'm trying to do all this, that, and the third. You think about when you was in high school, you wanted to have the freshest clothes, to be that dude, do this, that, and the third. You doing all these things outside yourself to try to keep up with a narrative of being popular, or try to keep up with a narrative of being cool amongst your peers, or just trying to keep up with your peers wherever your peer group may be. You know what I'm saying? Whatever your peer group might be into, you just trying to keep up, and you really didn't know yourself to say, hey, you know what? I don't really need that thing. You know what I'm saying? So without having an identity, you won't know what you need. You won't know the steps to take to do what you need to do to become who you need to become, because you don't know who you are.
For sure. I agree with that, and totally. You just dropped the bomb with that one, because I feel like that's the burnout.
Yeah.
You're doing things, that have nothing to do with actually who you are at your core, but you don't know that. So all of these energy leaks is happening. You're getting attached to shit that you spending energy to, and it's draining you because you didn't even know what was actually for you and what wasn't. That's a major thing right there that people in general can fall victim to. You know what I'm saying?
No,
And yeah, definitely. And I think how it can show up as men, yeah, might be that girl that you want. You in high school, this girl, this type of chick, she might show attention to this type of, what I mean, person, or you see that, or you might, like you say, you might got the clothes and clothes you ain't got what everybody else rocking. So you starting to identify a certain way, and these
mm-hmm.
little external social things, bit by bit, are chipping away before you even get some man or some other person around you to say, hey, bruh, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
And so by the time you even figure that out, shit, you might be 25, 30 before you
Mm-hmm.
even catch that. But that
Man,
started when you were 14, going into
yeah,
high school, or when you was in middle school. You see what I mean?
it's kind of
So,
like a push and pull situation because
yeah.
on one end, okay, you have you and then you have the collective group, right? If the collective group wants to go to the movies, but you don't necessarily like movies, you don't want to feel left out and say nah. So you're just gonna go to feel included. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like the pull, it's pulling you in. Then you got on the opposite end the push side, whereas you're trying to do something new that the peer group doesn't necessarily do. So let's say, like, oh, man, I want to get into Taekwondo. Damn, the group don't really like Taekwondo like that, I guess. Let me ask them, yo, what's up? Yo, y'all want to join this class? Man, we ain't doing that shit, man, dude. So now you have, a push thing because you're trying to push out of your peer group and do something that they don't normally do, and they not even supporting you. You know what I'm saying? So it's a push and pull type situation where it's like, damn, man, that's just one instance. So imagine all types of popular, trendy things going on at that time that your peer group into, you might not necessarily want to be into, and vice versa. And now you have such a psychological confusion right there with yourself. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
helps to kind of mold yourself, but it can get very dangerous when you don't know yourself. You feel me?
Right. And if you don't have any sound guidance or advisory in your life to help you navigate those situations and circumstances, it could get very, very ugly for sure. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree with that. I would say, to answer that as far as identity, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that when it comes to identity, I think a lot of the things that we identify as men, with as men, I think a lot of those things aren't things that we have consciously questioned. I think they're things that we've been socially programmed to identify with. You know what I'm saying? And it's not necessarily an identification that you personally have set on yourself. And that's why I personally have a problem with it, because now somebody else's stuff is coming into my space, and that's not what I signed up for. Don't mean
Mm-hmm.
that I'm still, obviously I'm having to deal with it, but that's where a degree of I need questions now. I'm questioning this very, very detailed. Like, okay, as a man, so as a man, you telling me that because I'm a man, I can't do this, that, and the third, or as a man, I should be this way, and where's this coming from? Somebody might say something. Somebody might, you got one person, they might say, well, biblically, this is what man does. So they're taking their whole reference point or paradigm from the Bible, right? But
Yeah.
then there's other questions beyond, well, where did that Bible come from? What version of that Bible did that come from? Who created that version of that Bible? And what was the politics or the social political paradigm that made that thought process coming? It's too many questions that you got to keep unraveling before you accept something that, and I'm just using biblically as an example, or it could be, culturally, black people, for an example, as a black man, you take them emotions and you need to throw them out the window. There's no such, man, emotions? Oh, can't identify with that. You know what I'm saying? It's just so many different, as a man, you supposed to be dressing like this, or you supposed to be talking like this. It's like all of these different components can really strip a person of their sense of personal identity. And I think that's kind of what we come into, a lack of knowledge of self and a lack of guidance among who you are before the collective gets to you.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that's how I see that. But
And you gotta focus on that along with. So you said all that, and you didn't even get into the person's personal life of what they gotta do before we even get to that. Wherever you got any obligations, you got a house, you got a car, you got children, you got to maintain all these things, and then you got to get to that. You know what I'm saying? And then
Right.
you got to have the mental fortitude and the emotional fortitude to know to stand up for
Mm,
yourself when you know something is not a part of your cipher or something doesn't necessarily something that you necessarily don't agree with. You know what I'm saying? Now,
right.
if you don't have that at an early age, like by the time you turn 18, it's like you already getting projections put in your head and you already getting led in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I mean, you had already been getting projections your whole life, and so again, if you're not consciously aware of that, and I think sometimes you see people they become aware of these things, in their 20s or 30s or 40s, maybe sometimes even 50s, and when they come to these moments, they start realizing how much of their own identity had been lost, and then now it becomes a whole journey to re-find yourself, and then that's a process. But I think that's a process that all of us, to different various degrees, are constantly interacting with. But nah,
Yeah.
that's good stuff. I like that. And so, how much of burnout, I guess this ties into the next question, how much of burnout ties into other people's expectations of you?
Mm-hmm.
It goes right smoothly there. Like, how much of what we're experiencing is actually from other people's expectations from wherever they got those expectations from?
You want to go true?
You got it.
It's like I'll give you an example. My mom, right? So when I bought my
Mm-hmm.
house, bought my crib, I didn't tell my mom and I didn't tell my pops.
Mm-hmm.
Like before going into it, after I copped it, it was a few months after it before I let them know. And the reason why is because I didn't want their thoughts, their energy influencing my decision for making this purchase on this house when I knew it was what it was for. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
also because of the pressure, like some of the pressures from my mom. My mom has set a very high standard for me. You feel what I'm saying? As
Mm-hmm.
far as like what she has envisioned for me and what it looks like. You know what I'm saying? So I bought a house that's a fixer upper. I didn't buy a house that's brand new out the box, that's up there on that standard. You feel me? So
Mm-hmm.
like the pressure of her living on this standard made me feel like, man, I don't want to tell her about this decision. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't want her influences. I don't want her telling me, well, this ain't a house for you. You need to go get something nice. So this, you know what I'm saying? Well, that pressure right there just it kind of helped me from having a good experience with my parents and telling them, yo, this is my. They probably wanted to be a part of my home buying experience for the first time, but because of that pressure, I didn't allow them that. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's one example. It's just a lot of pressures, man. That's like the main example that I had though, like living up to your parents' standards and what they have set for you, especially when you don't know yourself particularly. You know what I'm saying? Or you haven't done the shadow work to reveal those things that are in the darkness right there and become comfortable with them. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy that it took me that experience to become comfortable with it, you know? And now, like, to practice that, I have to keep telling my peoples the truth, regardless to whom or what. This is my life. This ain't y'all. So I got to do that. But because of those pressures, I felt like they would look at me a certain way because of what I'm striving to do. You know what I'm saying? And that was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But that's an example of those pressures right there. You feel me? That's outside of myself that gets imposed, well, that I impose on myself mentally, but it's just that pressure from my peoples that's like, damn, you know what I'm saying? I gotta be extra over the top, and that's not the case, you know? That's just one example though.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Peace, God. You got anything on that, God?
Run the question again.
Question is, how much of burnout can come from other people's expectation of you? Or how does other people's expectation of you affect burnout or can affect burnout?
I think that's gonna be a good one for you, True, because you got the girls, man. Like, they
Uh,
look up to you like you the God, so they look up to you like that. So I know that's a heavy pressure.
Not really. Not really. All they do is go to school and come home and isolate themselves in their room, so it's not really that much pressure. As long as there's food in
Do you
the
think it was
house.
pressure?
In the beginning, yeah, it was pressure that I imposed on myself because I thought I had to be something. And then now that they're older and I'm just like, oh, I don't have to be what I thought I had to be because what I thought I had to be actually made stuff worse.
Mm,
It pushed them away. It was like, oh, dad is too strict, dad is too, overbearing, and he's just always wanting things to be right and wanting things to be this way. I didn't know no better. I ain't have my dad.
mm.
So I didn't know what the example or standard of manhood was. I was building the plane as I was flying it.
I got
And
to jump off a
now
porch. Yeah.
they just isolate themselves. And when they get in from school, ask them questions. How was your day? What was the best part of your day? What was the worst part of your day? They answer it, and that be that. I'll see them again when I tell them dinner's ready. So it's not really burnout in that sense. It's more so like it's unfulfillment. It's just like, all
Mm.
right, what am I gonna do now since my children are in an isolation state because the stimulation from social media and YouTube and TikTok and video games is moving faster than what I can generate.
Mm. Mm.
So
Plus
I just
school.
plus school, yeah, they come in and it's just like so and so got in a fight today, and they're all hype about a fight. I'm just like, okay, were you in the fight? No, I wasn't in it. Did you instigate the fight? No. Did you record the fight? A little bit. It's just like,
And see, that's crazy, right? Because they telling you that, and you don't know if it's true or not. Like, you got to be like, I got to go off what you saying. You could have been
right,
in the fight, instigating, oh, but like, I don't know. And it's like, ooh, that's so twofold, bro. Oh, man.
You know if you know your kid, you know.
oh yeah, yeah,
Because
I
you know
know
what you was
mine.
doing.
Yeah. Yeah, you know your kid, you know your kid. You know.
Right, I don't
No, you
like
know,
too much.
as you
Mine
was
don't.
right. I don't want no smoke.
Mm-mm,
Not too much smoke.
not at all.
What I get from it is kind of what I was taking away from what True Universal was saying. It made me think about my also and also what you were saying, God, made me reflect on my own experience of how different generations, deal with different pressures, and then how that pressure that generation dealt with affects the other generation, like the cause and the effect of it.
Mm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
in the situation, kind of like the isolation, right? Because he uses the term isolation. Like, so when I hear the term isolation, and knowing the God, I know that's not preferred. That's not something that like really feels good. At the same time, it's interesting because the God has provided and is providing a certain level of livelihood. So what happens is when you're used to a certain level of livelihood, you don't know what you don't have, especially as a kid. You know what I'm saying? Because you're a kid, you're lacking so many other experiences to compare that to. And so when you have like your parent and your parent has gone through something different upbringing, like
Mm.
that cause and the effect is very interesting to study because you had something different from what they have, and it could come off as not that they're not appreciative, but it could come off a certain way that it's not what it is, but they don't have nothing else to compare their everyday norm to
Yeah.
even realize that understanding. That'll be something that'll come later in their 20s, 30s, where they'll be like, you know what?
Damn, I
My
didn't.
dad was a monk. You know what I mean? It's gonna
Because
that's the
they standard is this. Like,
yeah,
you know
they
what I'm
don't
saying?
know nothing else.
Your standard is steaks and shrimps. Well, we don't eat shrimp, so when your standard is steak, you don't necessarily know what hamburger helper tastes like. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
you have no
On the
clue.
steak level, this is
You
how I was
have no
brought in. Yo, oh, this what's hamburger helper? We ain't never
right
had this. We started off with the steak. You know what I'm saying? So
for
like, and
sure.
it's humbling because then as they get older and they realize, damn, I gotta get my own food. Shit, hamburger helper it is. Hey, look, pops, I ain't gonna hold you. Thank you for all the steaks that you gave me in my
Right,
upbringing, man. Cause this hamburger helper ain't it. But look, we gonna get through it. You feel what I'm saying? It's like
right.
that. You know?
And it made me think about like how fear affects burnout.
Hmm.
In the sense of like, okay, you had a certain experience as a child. 9 times out of 10, it creates an energy, right? Could be
Yeah.
fear, could be trauma, but it creates an energy. So now your thought process is solely, I'm gonna make sure that this don't happen again or in this way. And that could be kids, that could be in a relationship, that could be this or that. But sometimes the energy that you put on it increases the burnout, like you say, because you don't want to experience a certain thing again, and that could affect burnout. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And that's what
Mm-hmm.
like you said, when we constantly do the shadow work to realize these different things, it's like, you know what? Like the guy was saying, he's like, man, you know what? I gotta let up on this. I might have to let up on that. Or I might have to adjust myself here because that's not necessarily the case. But my nervous system, my bodily experiences make me feel like that's the case, but it ain't necessarily the case. And so
Mm-hmm.
that was very, very interesting because it had me reflecting on my own upbringing and studying that type of dynamic. So that was really interesting.
And to add on, it's like what True Universal said in one of our previous episodes where he was saying the flight or fight response.
Hmm.
I realized you're gonna have to go through it. You can't run away from it. But our people have such a flight response, they're gonna keep running. When you keep running away from everything and every problem that you must embrace, eventually it's gonna stack up and it's gonna create more and more burnout. You know what I'm saying? Like I over my years, I've realized, yo, I gotta embrace and go through and endure certain things. There's no way around it. If I try to run away, nah, it's only gonna make me drain more energy. So let's go ahead and get through this and get through this right. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of our people just have a flight response where it's just like, oh, this is a problem, I'm gone. Oh, this is a problem, I'm gone. And then next thing you know, all them problems start adding up and they running from multiple things and now all these things got them cornered. And it's like, damn, I got so much shit I gotta really go through and fix up that I done left behind because I was running from it the whole time. That's what that fear will do to you, how you running. We need to go through it to get to
Yeah,
I
take your
mean,
mind and put your mind on a certain autopilot.
it's epigenetics. It's generational trauma. It's been
Hmm.
written in our DNA to navigate these things. Because again, if you have anyone in your DNA that was on a plantation, they gonna have that flight response because like they want freedom, and you're gonna run towards freedom, or you're gonna fight for freedom. So it's like that is now being rewritten in your DNA 3 generations in advance. And so if you navigating, one
it.
that generation is navigating slavery, and then the next generation is navigating a war, then the next generation is navigating Jim Crow,
Mm.
civil rights, like all these traumatic events are taking
Damn.
place and it's just constantly being encoded. Like there's never a generation that's being able to heal until you get to us. Our generation, where
Mm.
now this is the big topic, of discussion. The men need to heal, or the men need to go to therapy. The men need to do this. It's like, all right, like you do realize I have to unpack like 6 generations worth of trauma, right? Shit ain't gonna be no overnight thing. It ain't gonna be no. This is gonna be at
Hmm.
least a decade long process, maybe longer. Because even while this is
Mm.
taking place, majority of us men have already had kids before the healing even started. So that's a whole nother generation that's got to navigate the trauma, the epigenetics, along with the parents that's navigating it in real time. And then the children is going to be dealing with their own stuff as they're getting older. So it's just constantly compounded trauma that has to get unpacked to be resolved. And it's like when you unpack things, you have to find a home for it. Like it's like when you go on a trip, you done bought some stuff with you from the trip, and you're like, dang, I gotta find a place to put this stuff because I didn't originally have this. So now I have to find somewhere to
Hmm.
sort it,
Mm.
organize it and put it in place. So
Hmm.
I just don't have a bunch of stuff scattered everywhere. And now I'm looking around and I got papers over here, I got books over here, I got action figures and championship belts and trophies over here. And I'm like, damn, I feel like I'm cluttered. It's a lot of chaos. And all of this stuff ain't
Hmm.
even mine. Oh,
Yeah, you
Hmm.
dropped it. You dropped it with that one because I didn't even think about the perspective of like all those eras of trauma that we went through, yo. Back to back to back to back to back. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn,
mm-hmm.
like when you put it that way, it's like we got a lot.
And
And it's
see,
a
that's
science,
why,
science
dealing with
called
the time.
epigenetics.
Mm.
Right. I'm familiar with the science. So what we're gonna do is put that everybody do the knowledge to epigenetics. Because see, that's why it's just another reason with the time thing, like the time thing that I go through, like listening to a music or a song. Because see, I'm again, my mind is racing all of this that he just painted in. I'm like, okay, it's 1933, right? So life comes to my mind with Eddie Murphy and
Mm.
Martin Lawrence. Okay, life, that
Mm-hmm.
was a movie, yeah, but then okay, 1930. Let's go into the look at what men were dealing with in 1930. Then you can go look at the Malcolm X joint. You know what I mean? Malcolm X was born, I think, in 1926 or something like that, right?
Mhm.
So you know what's taking place in the world stage or in America in the 1930s. You got the Harlem Renaissance coming through. People is migrating to New York, Chicago, the Midwest. So with all this migration, change is taking place. It's a lot of change. Black people are dealing with all this different newness, all these different
Mm-hmm.
collaborations, these different experiences, and they're trying to create a new place of home. So when you're trying to create a new place of home, that comes with so many different things. You just got here in this new environment. You're trying to find some food, some livelihood to build a house, family. Like it's a lot of stuff that's taking place, and the body is learning quicker than the mind is. This is where these energy centers come. And I really
Mm-hmm.
don't think that a lot of times in the real time moment we're conscious of that. Most people not think they thinking that you would have. They like, man, Victorious, True Universal should know better because blah 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 blah. But how could you not taking into context the all of the things that created a True Universal or a Law Victorious or Sincere? All of the the generations and the thought process and the emotional bodily systems that went into making me. You're not taking none of that into consideration, so it makes you less tolerant of what we're actually dealing with. And that is,
Mm-hmm.
I swear I don't like that, man. And I think we should have more grace and patience with each other. Not saying that we should excuse bullshit that we do, but consider the contextual ramifications that created this. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
That's
That was
facts.
good.
I've been with the God, you know me. I've been with the God True Born, man. And it was funny because he brought it up when we built. He was like, you know what, God? So you know why I appreciate you, God? He was like, because I could come in the most fiery current ever at you, God, and you would still return it in like a warm current and calm me down. I don't know how you do that shit. He was like, but you do it all the time. You know, I'll call your line, try to check you on some shit like, hey, God, what's up with this? What's up with that? What's up with that? And then next thing you know, you be like, calm down, God. Hey, look. And you start building and breaking it down. And by the time we get done with that build, God, I don't even know what I was angry for. You know what I'm saying? But I said, it's because I know you, God. I said, God, you came up in an era that I haven't seen. So this is why you're fiery. You have reasons for being fiery. You have reasons for having your wisdom the way that you have it. It's your self-style wisdom because of your experiences and what you've been through. You know what I'm saying? I didn't necessarily go through the crack era. You did, and you got to experience that real time. You see what I'm saying? You got to experience those Reagan effects. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see that. I didn't get to see our whole community change off of one drug to go from a loving community where we was building camaraderie, we had unity, to damn, the drugs done made everybody break and bonds done broken, and you know what I'm saying, families done got broken just all off this one drug. You got to witness that full time. You feel me? And so you also got to witness the 5% nation come up and actually grow and develop from inception. You feel me? Even though you were a kid when it was born, you still got to see all these things and see all these things in that. So I already know when you come at me in a fiery current, I know the reasons and I know the origin of where it's coming from. So I'm understanding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, for
Hmm.
sure. You know what I mean? And that's some good stuff. I think I guess I would say, I know we're about to wrap it up here soon on this one. One of the questions that's coming up is when it comes to burnout, is burnout more of a mental, is it emotional or is it spiritual? You know what I mean? Energetic. What is the source or the origin of what is classified, socially as burnout? What is its actual origin? Is it mental? Is it emotional? It's spiritual? Based
That,
off kind of what we talk about the epigenetics and everything.
that's a subjective, nuanced answer because for each person is different. But for some people, they may not have experienced any type of generational trauma. So there's no epigenetics involved in their burnout. For those people, it could just be their current predicament of the job market or, a relationship that
Hmm.
didn't work out and they trying to pick themselves back up from from those things. So for black men specifically, it's an amalgamation of all of that, emotionally, from whatever familial or intimate relationships that have taken place. Mentally, it could just be the pressures of society, like, man, I gotta have this, certain level of finances or certain level of skills in the job market to just have the basic levels of care in life. So it's a lot. It's a lot that comes with it. Like I said, it's subjective. I don't really think there's a one objective answer as to the source of burnout.
That's peace.
I think the source is always gonna be. It's always gonna start mentally. It's always gonna start with a thought, idea, a perception. It's always gonna start from there. And then from that, it's gonna hit all the rest of the things, emotional, spiritual, whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Mm,
devil put fear in us when we were a little boy. You know what I'm saying? That was like a thought or a conditioning. So it started in the mind, and then it started to influence our everyday way of life. So I think it starts with mentally. It starts in the mind, and then from when that seed is planted in the mind, it sprouts like a weed. You know what I'm saying? And it can grow and latch on to any other aspect that's in your life. You feel me? And can cause that stress. So, I think it's
yeah, to add on how I see it, I see it as, yes, as you both said, like a combination of all of them. They're interconnected. Foundationally, I would see it as an energy, like epigenetics, the stuff that goes down in a person's body that creates a new DNA coding. It's an energy, it's a vibration. The vibration could come from an emotion, because it's almost like, well, what creates the vibration? It came from a person's standpoint. It came from them physically taking something in through their senses, their eyes, something they saw, something they heard, and from what they saw, heard, tasted, or touched through the senses, it created an emotion behind it. And if they keep experiencing that, it keeps the same emotion coming and coming. The more and more that emotion come, the more and more that energy ball get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it has this chain loop. Every time I see this, it makes me feel this. And when I feel this, these types of thoughts come to my mind. And when these types of thoughts come to my mind, it further perpetuates how I feel about it. And then the energy starts increasing, increasing, increasing as it's shooting through the body. So I see how like the interconnected of like that should be like almost like a feedback loop where it's like it's like a loop of a ball. But I would say foundatively, it's definitely an energy. It's a vibration that
like a
creates
ripple.
burnout. Yeah, that's what create burnout. And I think sometimes, like you said, we were talking about earlier, it could be based on how we're perceiving what we're experiencing. We're taking some of this stuff too personally when it's beyond you. But you don't know that at the time as a kid, because all you know is you personally. You don't know nothing about no history. You don't know nothing about how somebody else is experiencing it. So you have no other reference point other than the personal. But then when you start evolving your consciousness, you start seeing like, oh shit, this is way bigger than me. I'm just in one chain and I'm just one link in this chain. So I think some of that helps, like not taking things so personally helps to release burnout. So that's kind of how I see that, you know what I mean, in light of you guys.
I
Um,
think, I think, yeah, I think I like that. Yo, like, what are some ways that y'all release burnout or relieve yourself from burnout?
Great question. Do you have someone that guy you want to go?
No, you got the floor right now.
So for me, one, I try not to allow myself to take things too personally. That's one. That really helps me out a lot. Because the context like of understanding, somebody talking to me in, some way that I don't like, right? And depending upon where I'm at already within myself, I may respond. But if I'm calm, cool, like, it's like, I got you. It's not something I need to take personal. Because now if I do that, I'm giving you my power. I'm not going to do that. So I try not to take things too personally. I'm not all the time perfect at it, but for the most part, that helps me to navigate being burnt out. I think one of the things too is I like to know me. Like I like to be in my body, so I like to, stretch. I like to practice qigong and martial arts. When I was a kid, I played baseball and, I was in a band. So as a kid, I learned a lot about my body and how my body responds to different stimuli. So it put on my radar, like, okay, when I'm in my body, I'm less stressed out. If I'm in my mind too long, that creates more stress and anxiety for me. So I was able to find that out about myself. And so one way I might navigate being burnt out is like, yo, it's time to get into my body. Because I know if I don't, my neck gonna be tight, my shoulders and my back. That's where all my tension gonna come up here, from here to here. And once I start feeling that, it's time to get in my body. So that kind of helps me to navigate burnout. Having a meditation practice also helps me to navigate burnout because it allows for me to get out of the mind and it be more of a witness of what's taking place in my mind so I can have a more objective viewpoint. and not be taking it so personal. So that helps me. And yeah, for the most part, those are things that I do by myself. Now, if I was including other people, having conversation about, kind of what I'm going through and what I'm experiencing, that helps me to navigate burnout. And yeah, for the most part, those are the things that's coming up so far.
Yeah, I know. Like for me, like of course, working out,
Hmm.
this as far as like feeling emotionally drained. I just feel real drained. I need to take my mind somewhere else. I'll work out real quick. Takes my mind off all of that. You know what I'm saying? Another one is like taking walks. Like you said, God. I mean, I probably could sit for longer than you at a computer, but at the same time, I do need those walks in between. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me go and get some fresh air. Because that helps to relieve of the burnout, especially with me. Like when I be coding or I be doing things on the computer. Oh
Hmm.
man, it's almost like you on a level of a game. That level of the game, it's like, man, let me shut the game off, go take a walk real quick, and then you come back
Hmm.
to it. You realize, oh, you could have beat that joint all along if you had to just took that break. So like taking walks, especially walks near water and near nature, hearing those
Hmm.
sounds, that helps me to relieve myself of burnout. Essentially, just doing activities that take my mind off things, cleaning the house. You know what I'm saying? That's somewhere like, let's say if I can't get productive or I'm feeling so burnt out because of like anxiety and I got so many things in my mind. The way to recenter myself is like, all right, let me clean the house, let me wash clothes, wash these dishes, vacuum. You know what I'm saying? And that helps me also to relieve the burnout too and get recentered. Like, okay,
Hmm.
the burnout's gone. Let's get back to it. So like, those are some things right there that help me with burnout.
That's powerful, God. Powerful.
Yeah, cleaning. And cleaning is definitely a
Eugene.
thing. That was very petty. That was very petty. Cleaning, yeah, that definitely that gets me in a good space. Washing some dishes. That was like my first ever job. I was a dishwasher. So it's like that'll get me back into a space of center. Riding my bike. I ain't doing it right now though. It's too cold outside. I do like
The bike froze.
Man, it's too cold, man. I looked at that tent yesterday. That thing said 4 degrees. I was like, I'm good on that. Full hibernation mode.
Yeah, that's insane.
So yeah, cleaning, riding a bike, listening to music, like just being able to sing some songs, dance a little bit. That always gets me in a good space. Wrestling, enjoy wrestling. So I might body slam one of the kids on the bed or something like that. Grab their ankle and just tickle their feet.
No,
Uh, but yeah, those are good ways for me to navigate burnout.
that's peace. Yeah, so it makes me think about, the build or destroy degree in the 1 to 40, what makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes, and how that lesson talks about the elements, the air, earth, and water. You can see the elements in that degree as it's talking about how water navigates the water cycle. But in that degree, it make me think about like the mind is air, and when you spend too much time in air, you start losing oxygen, and so you now have to come back down to earth to get grounded, and the body represents the earth. And so what I took note of
Mm-hmm.
throughout all of our things that we said that helps us get out of burnout is getting into the body. And that is more of a grounding thing so that it can balance you out from coming out of the air or coming out of the water, the emotions. You see what I'm saying? There's like, as we navigate all of the different elements of life, but then the different elements of self, it's like, you got to have that balance. When you spend too much time in one element, that's when you get burnt out. So, you know what I'm saying? Imbalance creates burnout. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be in both, you got to be in all different elements of the self and the experience of life to not be burnt out. So the imbalance creates burnout. And so I think most people, that's the same. They have to get into their body. That's why people, like you said, God, I'm going to work out, I'm going to hit the weights. God say you might ride the bike. You know what I'm saying? Your body has to now, because the body is a mind. People forget that you got a mind or a brain here. You got one in the gut. All of this is different sections on the body that learn too. So why spend so much time upstairs? See, that's a training of society, though, particularly Western society, that don't allow for you to even think about those other areas. And there goes back to the epigenetics. You see what I'm saying? So I see all of these things relative to the contributing of burnout, a lack of balance. And that builder, what makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes shows us fire, air, earth, and water, and how the elements need to be put in balance in order to stay at optimal energetic level and operation. So with that being said, I guess, we'll kind of start tailoring this thing down here. Like, what types of beliefs, I guess, about masculinity lead men into burnout? Because a lot of times it's some type, like you said, mental. A belief is mental, right? So you can have a certain belief about masculinity and your performance as a man that can lead you to burning out. What type of beliefs have you experienced before in your lives that have contributed to you burning out?
You start off with just grinding, like always got to be on the grind, always got to be on the move, always got to be working, always got to be busy, always got to be active, always got to be productive. Like you just
Hmm.
have to always be on,
Hmm.
and if we look at, like if we look at the lights, in the house, if you keep the lights on at some type, that bulb is gonna go out. It's going to burn out. You done burnt the filament out in the bulb because you got it on all day long when it's not even needed to be on. You keep your water on all day long, that bill gonna be super duper high, and then you may not have the funds to pay for that because you always got stuff on. And I'd be like that in my house. I just like, look, if you're not in the room, turn it off. Don't just be having stuff on. Turn it off.
Hmm.
You know.
I like that.
And so, like, that's a major belief that I think men in Western society, black men specifically, like, we're always put in this state of being on all the time. Because we'll get looked down upon by our peers, other men and women that we may be, looking to court or be intimate with, and they'll hit us with "You're not doing this. You don't got that. What you doing? Why you not doing this? Why you taking a nap? Why you sleep? Why you anything?" It's just like, God damn, like, can I not rest? Can I not take a break? Can I not, get a massage and relax for a minute? Like, there's a lot of things that goes on up here in the mind that I'm thinking about that other people may not be thinking about because they don't got to deal with it. But I got to deal with it because people have put this belief out there that it's in my wheelhouse to be responsible for.
No, I agree. I agree. Like you said, staying on the grind. Also, it's like being that source or that solution. It's like the man always gonna fix it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how women, if they got a man, they gonna refer to their man all the time. I'm gonna let my man do it. I'm gonna let my man handle it. I'm gonna let my, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like, damn, like sometimes it's like, yo, let me, give me some of the reciprocation. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you always got to be the backbone or the foundation for everything, you know what I'm saying? Which is cool, but it can lead to burnout because it's like, damn, you know what I'm saying? That's where the community thing comes in. Damn, where I'm gonna find my source of, that, where's my foundation? Where do I get the energy to be the foundation for you? So and again, that ties back to community and finding your community and your tribe. But that's what causes that. You feel me? That's what causes the burnout in that area. We're looked at as the one to set everything off. We looked at as the foundation of our families. And sometimes we need energy to keep going for ourselves when we feel like we can't be that foundation anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's like we can't just wake up and decide, oh, we're done with this and drop it. Nah, we still have to deal with it. So it's like, all right, where does that man get his source of energy from to keep being that foundation regardless to whom or what? That's another part of the burnout.
I like it. I love it. I love it.
Here you go.
No, that's some powerful stuff. You know what I mean? I think again, kind of goes into that space again. I think sometimes of, fear, the fear of being abandoned or the fear of not succeeding or, like the God was saying, I know that could come up at different times. Like, at some point, and this goes into this concept of leadership and this concept of gender roles. You know what I'm saying? I think gender roles is something that has to be, and it is, and it's right now. I swear, our generation, if we go on social media right now, this
Come on
gender
now.
role thing is a thing that is being re-looked at on multiple levels by men and women. Men are consciously and unconsciously responding to a lot of the gender role expectations that have been put on them by societal norms. And women are also responding in backlash to some of the gender role expectations that's been put on them. So we are almost like at this standstill, almost at this stalemate, so to speak, where we're, in some sense, you see us going at each other. And in some senses, you see people totally withdrawing from the entire thing. until they
Mm-hmm.
figure something else out. So it's a very interesting space, I think, when it comes to burnout as it pertains to these gender roles and relationships. I would say for me, I do feel that when it comes to being on or having to constantly do something, right? That is one that can at times come into my radar, you know what I'm saying? And the reason being is because I know also on the back end of that, I know if I don't do this, that, and the third, I know the ramifications of that also. And so the balance of that becomes a very, very tough thing. And I know I don't always want to have to be the one making decisions. Decision fatigue, that irritates me. Like, why do I always got to be the one making a decision? That can irritate me sometimes when each person here is sound, has a sound mind to contribute a thought or an opinion.
Yeah,
That
that
right
gets me
there,
too.
yeah, that can be annoying. But as a man, you're expected, hey, you need to make the decision. You need to make sure that, and there's nothing wrong with making decisions. I'm not opposed to that. But would you also have some contribution that I have to think for me and I have to think for you? That's draining for me personally. And
It
that could
really
be a
is.
frustration.
And
Yeah.
it's as simple as like to sum up what you said with the gender role thing. It's as simple as when you come home and you got a woman and you come home in the evening after work and both of y'all and you know what she gonna ask. What are we eating? What
Yeah.
do you want to eat? We men, once you got our dietary law, we don't care what you whip up. As long as it fulfills that, something up, man. I'm not trying to hear, oh man, what you like. You should make that decision. You know what you want. I don't care. It could be anything across the board. You know what I'm saying? Just pick something so we can do this. Cause if I pick something, then we going down a rabbit hole. Oh, I'm not feeling that. Then I gotta throw another one out there. Oh nah, I'm
Yeah.
not in the mood for that. It's like, yo, so you decide. I'm gonna rock with whatever you got. You decide. Please just decide on that. And that's something that's small, but that's
Yeah.
every man and woman goes through that every day of what we
Yeah.
eating. Like you know what I'm saying, bro? Like it
Yeah.
was funny. It was funny too. I was watching dude, not the dude with the game, the dude that you sent me once and said you always be talking about game. It led
Uh-huh.
me to another joint which was a short. I think you probably sent it actually, and the guy
Hmm.
was like, "This is how you get your woman to tell you what she wants to eat." You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
He was in the joint and he asked her like a series of like three questions and led her basically to saying what she wants to eat. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
man. But it's like even having to play that game to get a decision out. Why do I have to do all
Yeah.
that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you should just it should be easy, man.
Yeah, for sure. It can be draining at times, especially when you don't have the energy to do it. You just want to get straight to A to B. You know what I'm saying? So that decision fatigue is definitely one that I personally can experience, and I think that that one is something that I don't want to always have to feel like if I don't make the decision, it won't get done. I don't like that. That irritates me. A lot of times that can make a personality like myself that could further perpetuate my personality to just be on. Because if I feel like that, I mean, it's like when Jordan was on The Last Dance and he was like, innate personality is to win at all costs. And he said, if I got to go out there and do it myself, I'm going to do it. And when he said that, I was like, because it made me think about how Jordan burnt himself out. Like again, when you see Jordan 84, he coming in, he young, but by the time
Mm.
that third, fourth season, you see his hair burning, you see him, he's starting to go bald. And I know he's going bald because he out there every night giving it his all, probably not resting enough, probably not eating the proper foods, putting back in his body. So his body is burning. You can see it with his hair. You know what I mean? So it's like, not to say he might have already had a predisposition for baldness, but again, his
That
lifestyle and
definitely,
his regimen
like
can probably
definitely.
add it to that. You saw him getting burnt out, but he still was like, hey, I'm gonna make this happen. And it's like, I don't want to burn myself out at the expense of making something happen. And so I know myself personally, that's something that I could struggle with, so I have to be mindful of that. And I have to sit back sometimes and be like, you know what, it's meditation time. This is creeping up in my system. Let me chill out. So I think that can be a thing for sure. Go ahead, God. What you saying?
Yeah, 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 you hit it right on the money. Because I've been thinking for a while. I'm like, man, what is it that I feel? And that's it right there. Decision fatigue. I ain't even never heard that term before. So as soon as I heard it, it just like a light bulb just went off in my head. I was like, that's it.
Yeah, I said, damn. Soon as the guy
I was
said it
like,
too,
that's
it's like,
it.
yeah. I
I was
said,
like, that's
shit.
it
I
right
said,
there.
Yeah, decision fatigue. That's the thing.
I be going through that all the time. Like I'm just it's overwhelming. It is
Yeah,
overstimulating, always having to make the decisions because then it puts me in this rabbit hole of having to micromanage every single person in the house. And I don't like that
yeah, that's
because
draining.
then I become a person that no one in the house likes.
The tyrant.
Yeah, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be this petty tyrant because then I get real sarcastic, I get real snarky, I get real quick tempered, low tolerance, low patience. Man, don't
Yeah.
nobody want to be around that type of man, but it's just like y'all are leading me to be this because I have to always have to make a decision. I have to always ask the most mundane questions. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm over it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I get it. And from a gender role standpoint, even though one is a man, we all possess masculine and feminine energy. So a decision should not just be dependent on a person's gender.
Hmm.
That is some of the see, this needs to be relooked at, and our generation is looking at it, boy. We are looking at this joint for sure.
We looking at
And
this joint
boy,
with a microscope.
bro, we are on the bro, we are flying the plane, hitting all types of turbulence with this one.
Mm-hmm.
We all possess masculine. Masculine energy is direct. You know what I'm saying? It's foundational. It's a container. Feminine energy fills the container. It's inward. It's intuitive. We all
Hmm.
possess masculine and feminine energy, whether I'm a man or I'm a woman. So we all have the ability to make decisions within a scope. It is not limited to a gender. This has to be looked at for sure. And we got to keep this conversation rolling because it creates burnout on both parties in relationships, not just intimate, but family relationships, work relationships, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got the ability to make a decision. Let's do it together.
Yeah. And I see like
Yeah.
the rebelliousness comes in again. People don't have identity, so people are trying to identify themselves. So these gender roles comes in when these gender roles come in and they're being placed. See, these gender roles are really guides, especially when you go to real traditional ones. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
when you ain't got no identity, you like you're not gonna put that on me. Nah, I'm doing something different. I'm gonna change the status quo. Fuck that. You feel me? Not
Right.
knowing
Hmm.
that these roles are just basic guidelines for y'all to live y'all life, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This is what these are for. Now, there will be nuances and little things where it's like, yeah, nah, we're gonna switch this around. But that's agreed upon by both parties. And that comes with conversation, being around somebody, reading somebody's body language, communication, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? But when you
For
Hmm.
don't
sure.
have no identity of self, you always gonna try to be like, I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna put those gender roles on me because they feel like they want to have their own sense of identity. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
that's where that rebelliousness comes in. It's like you're trying to fight what's already here, but these things are just guidelines. They're not there to force you to do anything. It's just
Mm-hmm.
how man is made and how woman is made. When we come together, this is how we could best fit for certain times. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a framework. Now
Right.
go off this framework and then you build upon what y'all got to build upon being man and woman together. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I want to add on because it's like everything you said, I'm in agreement with. Part of it is yeah, it's like it's a framework and it's a guideline because I see it could come out of a few different ways. It could come out in some people as rebelliousness, and some other people that could be also unconscious of different parts of themselves. It could come as submission to those guidelines, and that's
Mhm.
when you start letting other things that ain't got nothing to do with you in your own personal space, and then you get burnt out from that. Some people may suffer from that one. Just all depends on your dominant energy naturally, because
Yeah.
I don't want to just go off a guideline that I have not examined. See, that's dangerous because now you're opening me up to accept things and to submit to things that do not fit and align with me personally. And I'm not going to just go with it because society says, hey, bro, hey, this is the guideline, men and women. Hey, this is what we do. No, fuck that. Where did that guideline come from? Who created that guideline? Now, I know for sure we live in the wilderness of North America. This is a Christian dominant sphere of planet Earth. So many of your guidelines are based out of a Christianic view. And most people have not studied the depths of the various degrees of Christianity, the origin, the different branches, the different sects, what predated that to create those guidelines. You don't even know where that came from. And you want me to just go and accept that? Not
Nah.
knocking it. I respect the framework, but in some instances, we have to acknowledge a framework and then we do have to recreate a wheel as time goes on. Or not even recreate a wheel, go back to what may have been lost from other eras in time. This is where
Renew the wheel.
history comes in. You know what I mean? Renew the wheel, God, for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
You killed that. The God that said something that was just so, he says it all the time, and I appreciate the God. I appreciate both of you, and I learned different things from both of you. And the God, with his, in the solar facts of 120, man, those are I really enjoy the solar facts, man, because I feel like the solar facts are so overlooked in 120, but it's so much cultural and earthly power there, and solar power and cosmic power that it is just. I think sometimes some gods and earths they build with them, and then some they just they don't really see no practical use for it. But I see much practical use, and one of the things I really take away is the God is very very big on resting, and not only him, many other people in my life that also carry that similar energy signature have really put that on my radar. And it really, I actually have found a lot of solace and a lot of regeneration and balance within it. And it made me think about, how important rest is to burnout and what one can do to prevent being burnt out. What types of regimens do you guys put in play in order to rest and recharge yourself? Because that is so important. And I don't think a lot of men really consider that because they believe they gotta be on go so much.
Right, true. You the master of this one.
Yeah, man, pull out your scroll, man. Just pull out the scroll and let that joint drop to the floor. You know what I'm saying?
Man, when it comes to rest, I mean, it goes back to what we were saying earlier, like, cleaning the house, riding my bike, playing video games, listening to music, playing chess. I like playing some chess games. I've been recently just getting into like watching chess games. Like
That's cool.
I was watching a tournament yesterday on the chess.com app. It was a blitz tournament. It was
Hmm.
Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen versus I can't remember the other dude's name. I think it was like Dennis something. Yeah, it was a blitz tournament, and I was just watching that, and I'm just like seeing their movements and their strategies and their sacrifices. And I'm just like, interesting. It's not a move I
Mm,
would have made. Nonetheless, it
right.
was interesting to watch.
Hmm.
I like watching movies. I watched like 3 movies yesterday. Then went to sleep
Mm.
watching. Then went
The
uh,
movies and
cooking has been a thing. Bought a blender the other day. Just been making smoothies and smoothie bowls past couple days. So
That's tough.
that's
so
been a
would you
thing.
say like doing things around the house, like doing things around the house kind of help contribute to your resting activities?
Yeah, I paid this mortgage, so I want to be able to enjoy it.
Hey, I get it, God. Get that for sure. I understand.
So that if I do go out, like I've been recently going to like the cigar lounge in the city, so I'll do that.
Hmm.
Went there the other day, earlier this week, and I'm in there just talking about astrophysics with a couple guys that was in there. It's not a normal conversation that I would have in my everyday living. So just being able to step out and be like,
Hmm.
oh man, we talking about some scientific shit. Yeah, that's what I like right here. So it was
Hey,
rejuvenating.
that's powerful. It's powerful, God. Okay.
That's peak. Yeah, man. For rest, like, and that's another thing too. Like, I think the perception of rest that a lot of our people have is sleeping, and it's so many more facets of rest than just closing your eyes and going to sleep.
Hmm.
Like, even like with me, like if I know I'm feeling flustered or anxious, overwhelmed, I'll just lay down. Don't put my phones away from me, far away, so I don't have like any sensory disturbances.
Hmm.
I just lay down in the dark. I might put a binaural beat on, you know what I'm saying? Whatever frequency it is, might be a gamma wave, beta wave. Depending on how I'm feeling, I'll just lay there. I don't even necessarily have to be tired or want to go to sleep, but I will lay there and let my mind rest. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's kind of like
Hmm.
meditation, but it's not so focused on meditation. It's just let me just lay down, not do anything, and allow my body and my mind just a time to just sit there. You know what I'm saying? And be idle. So
Hmm.
also like the meditation helps greatly. The meditation helps greatly, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's good to have If you don't got like good meditation music, have good what is it the instructors that will talk you through it.
Guided
Um,
meditation.
they
Hmm.
yeah, have good guides that'll help you guide you through the meditation because that stuff really helps. And also like, and I'm speaking to my black man here. That's why I keep saying this. When you meditate, don't just try it for a day. Don't just try it for a week. It takes weeks of this so you can feel the effects of it. It's not gonna happen in one day. Things don't happen instantaneous like that. So when you resting, allow yourself some time to let it set in, to let your practices set in, to let this thing actually take its course so you can feel the effects. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so as far as rest though, like I'll lay there, won't do anything. Like the guy said, cleaning, getting things done around the house, cause that will really make you feel good. When you got a fresh house, you got a fresh mind. I ain't gonna hold you. That house organized, your mind is organized. Cause you know where everything's at, shit smelling good, you in your environment now. It's like, ain't nothing like waking up on that Saturday morning, putting them tunes on, and getting down to it with the vacuum. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing like that. So that's definitely a great form of rest. And yeah, like even when I'm out sometimes when you out, you might get to the car, just sit there for a minute. Don't do nothing. Get your mind calibrate and get right. Rest has many different facets, and once you dive down that rabbit hole and see, you're gonna be like, man, I could have really been taking advantage of these things to not experience burnout. You know what I'm saying? Because people, like I said, people think rest is something that you need time, like a lot of time for. You need just a lot of whole setups and you need a whole atmosphere. No, you just need yourself, just the rest. Once you dive down that rabbit hole of rest and the many different facets of rest, you realize you have many different tools in your wheelhouse that you could use to combat burnout.
I like that. I appreciate you guys for sharing that. I'm pretty sure some brothers, that can really take some of that stuff and, creatively figure out what works for them.
Hmm.
For me, some of the practical things I like to do to combat a burnout is moving slow. I realize, I study myself when I'm moving fast versus when I'm moving slow. Again, what's the energy behind me moving fast? What's going on? What's going on inside? Why am I moving this fast? Moving slow, how do I feel when I'm doing that? So I've been really moving slow, been really working a lot on being present. A lot of times I have a very, very active mind. And so a lot of times when something's going on, I thoughts from what I need to be doing, what I did yesterday, some situation might come through and it could take me sometimes out of the present moment. And so I realized that right there is a really, really big thing that I need to continuously disciplining to constantly just be in the present moment. And help me that can help me conserve more mental energy, which won't make me feel as tired. A lot of time when the mind is, or people don't realize, like when your mind is constantly in motion like that, burning a lot of energy, and that also can make you feel burnt. That's again why meditation is important. And meditation can help put the brakes on that shit, stop that shit, or slow it
Hmm.
down a little. Stretching also is a good one for me. But I realize like if I'm feeling burnt, and I need to stretch. My body's getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. I'm getting more and more tense. So I need to stretch. That helps me to combat a burnout situation and it allows me to move slow, really dive into, yo, man, how is my side feeling? What is this talking? It's saying something to me right here. What is it saying? What is this section of my neck saying to me? It's talking, it's saying, bruh, give me some attention. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is my body saying? And learning how to listen, watching movies. I do enjoy movies, a good movie, that's not one of my go-tos unless I'm watching it more so with someone else. But that one sometimes is something that will do. And sometimes I just like to sit in silence. I don't want to hear no music. I don't want to hear no talking. I just want to hear silence. And a lot of different things come to me sometimes in silence that would not have came to me in noise. So,
Driving in
so
Hmm.
silence.
like sometimes driving in silence. And I haven't done it in a while, but I used to do it quite often. Sometimes I take a bath in some Epsom salt. I think that's a lot of things I like. There's something I don't think many men do is take baths versus showers. You know what I'm saying? Men, we neglect our bodies a lot. That's why women usually last longer than a man in the physical lifespan in current society. So, that's something that I also do too. So, man, I hope that anything that any three of us said can help somebody out there, concoct your own creative thing for you. It's a learning progress for us all, but we're doing it together. You ain't got to be a lone wolf. So as we turn the corner on that, man, We're gonna wrap this episode up here. I'm gonna conclude with these last two questions. How do men rebuild their identity after feeling burnt out or lost? Like, how do you rebuild yourself back up? When you find yourself at a lost crossroad or a place that's just a low place. Like, how do you rebuild yourself back up in a way that you can feel energetically fulfilled and optimal?
For me, I read one book. I found a book that really resonated with me, and I read that book. And I took my time with it. I read it over the course of a year. And it was a book that, that helped me get into my body, helped me relearn myself in a way that I wasn't looking at myself before. And I just took my time with it and studying the practices in the book and learning exactly what the book was speaking to me about. And I
Mm,
just traveled, and I just spent time by myself. No, I didn't involve myself with any woman or any women. I didn't really involve my children at all. I just really spent time with me. What do I like? Without any titles that come with my personality. Who am I at the end of the day? What do I like? What do I dislike?
mm,
Who am I? I just focused on
Mm.
on myself. Who am I without any titles added to my name?
mm. Strip them down. Just strip them bare down. Like, who is this dude?
All the
Mm-hmm.
way, just got fully naked.
Cut his
Mm.
dreads off and everything. Cut the dread, the beard, the glasses, nothing.
Nothing.
He monk mode for sure.
Yeah, just got fully naked. No titles, no labels, no designer, no fashion, nothing. Just who am I? What do I like? What do I dislike?
Mm,
Mm.
mm. That is powerful. That is powerful. That's something that I don't think a lot of us even think about ever doing. Again, from a Western American mentality, it's not a part of the culture to even look at yourself that way.
Hmm.
That naked, you know, like not physically naked, but just that mentally, emotionally naked and spiritually naked. Like, it's not really a
Yep.
part of the culture. That's powerful, right?
It's not. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that making me think about a painting right now.
Hey, go
He
ahead,
over
whip it up, God. You know what
Oh,
I'm
right.
saying?
man.
He over
You
here by
gotta
the paint.
strip yourself for that, though, man.
And I'm not about to
Like,
paint no. I'm not saying paint the naked man. I'm not saying that, man. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I'm thinking about a painting the theme and the theme. Want no misunderstandings. I'm an
He about to
artistic mind. I ain't talking about.
he
keep his
about to
butt
he
ass.
about to he about to paint he about to paint some naked dude standing in the bathtub. Fucking
We call
episode.
this one Naked Man Resting. This is called the Naked Man Resting.
Hey, yo, go. What you want, man? What you got going on over there, dog?
Original Man Resting.
That's funny. That's funny. But
God,
what you saying, God?
I done lost my thought now. You laughing so hard.
But no, but I mean that's a powerful image though, you know what I'm saying, of the science of being born. You know what I mean? Like being born. Like when you're being reborn or being renewed, the vessel is a new vessel. So, obviously you had to shed that over. You had to get naked. You had to take that off, you know what I mean, in order to get that new shirt on or them new clothes on, that new skin. And so it comes with this this nakedness, so to speak. And so I
Mm-hmm.
mean that's really, really powerful themes there as it pertains to the science of born.
Mm-hmm. I think too, to add on to what the guy was saying too, the reason why that was interesting is because I had to go through a reflection myself and ask myself that same question and strip everything down. You know what I'm saying?
We
And
see.
like you said, yeah, he get caught up. Hey, go ahead, man.
He over here been doing this all
We
the whole
see.
goddamn jump.
Right. He's
So
brushing his
no,
head 1,000 times.
yeah, I need
And
these
still
waves, man.
and still
See, two
and,
two more waves just came in throughout this episode.
The two
even even he
boost,
even
you know
got
what I'm
he even got
saying?
he even got them shits on his beard. Damn.
On his beard. I even got beard waves. Damn. Nigga on the Duke bottle. You know the nigga on the wave bottle. No, the cut looks good, guy. It looks good, man. Yeah.
Nah, man, but nah, we had to ask myself that because, like the guy said, one of the things that's posed on it is the grind, get into that bag. You know what I'm saying? Once you get the money, what you gonna do with it? You feel what I'm saying? Like, and I was just like, this thing is man made. If we take away the money, what really defines me? We all know
Mhm.
money. It's a tool. It makes us feel good. You know what I'm saying? It makes us feel financially secure. But with like if we take that away, what's really gonna fuel me? What's really gonna fuel my experiences? I mean, what's really gonna fuel my inner man? And what's really gonna make me feel fulfilled in life? You know what I'm saying? Not just money. And I was like, it's experience. I live for experiences, new experiences. I want to have a fulfilled life. So it's like I really had to strip away everything and realize, yo, it's not all about the money, you know. And not to say that I was money centered, but money was something that I was like stressing over, and I had to change the frame of that. Cause now I'm just looking like, yo, I'm here for the experience. Now I'm not looking to have like, of course we would like to have an abundance of money, but it's like the goal. That's not the end goal. The end goal is to have the money to create the experiences or to experience more in life. You feel me? Than I ever would. I don't want to be on my deathbed saying, "Oh man, I got all this bread, but I ain't really do nothing with it to live a fulfilling life or experience life." You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be laying on my deathbed and I don't got no stories to tell. You know what I'm saying? That's not really a fulfilling life to me. So I was like, yo, I gotta put the experiences first. And once I started thinking about that, bro, a lot of things shifted. Like a lot of things just shifted in my mind, bro. So I say like, yo, put your experiences first because we have a finite time to live here. You know what I'm saying? We're only here for about, on average, 75, 80 years. That's a short amount of time compared to how long the earth has been here, how long we've even been here as humans. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, put the experience first. What do you want to experience in life? That experiences comes with who you want to be. So once you define all those things, it's the experience that's really going to make your life worth living, you know?
That's powerful. Yeah, I think that one of the things that, as you just said, one of the things that I think about often is, what would life be like if one didn't have to necessarily pursue money, or not pursue money, but one have to, need money in order to survive. Like, what would that type of life be like? I used to think about that a lot, and I still do think about that. Like, how would people be? How would human interactions be? How would the world like? What would be the energy across the planet if having to go out and achieve to do something to get money from it? Like, what would that be like? You know what I mean? And I think about that, and sometimes it saddens me that the acquisition of money is a part of this experience. Physical fiat currency, so to speak, because we know that it's not money, it's fiat, but the physical acquisition of it. Like, what if that wasn't we didn't have to worry about that form of money or currency. We were just dealing with energetic currency of interactions with people and, you know,
Facts.
putting our energy into people and people putting our energy into us, but we didn't have to worry about that to live for food, clothing, and shelter. That's something that really I always wonder that, and if you never thought about that, I just put food for thought out there if you're listening, like what type of world would that be? How would you be as a person? Would you be doing what you do now? Or would you be doing something else that really resonated with you on a soul level?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
And I
saying?
think that's something that we need to keep, keep on our radar too as we building out our lifestyles as brothers. What does that look like? Because, you know what I'm saying? It could get to a point where we could do that. It could get to a point where we could live totally off the land, food, clothes, shelter. We growing everything. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's something that us as brothers, should not. I mean, it's not immediately urgent, but I think we should always keep it in the back of our mind and build towards it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. That idea of this, I'm not even gonna say it's a utopia, but that imaginative creative idea is something that's always kind of in definitely the forefront space of my mind, that I think about quite often. And it makes me think about this next question of kind of like, when it comes to knowing what you want to be or knowing what you really want to do and what really fully resonates with you, do you feel as though men disregard or ignore intuition
All
or
the
their
time.
intuitive mind
All the time.
all the
Especially
time?
not. I mean, I don't think every man does it all the time, but I'm saying like most of the world is people that's doing it all the time, or it's men that's doing it all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, because one of the things that you gotta realize is, especially men with families, once you have a family, you're not thinking for yourself now. You're thinking for, what I'm saying, your children. So as much as you want to do what you want to do, you have to do what you have to do because you have responsible lives now. You're responsible for a whole another human being. You know what I'm saying? If not more. The intuition is telling you, damn, this is a good idea, man. I really want to do this, but at what cost? If it's costing me my family and it's costing me the security that I have my family in, not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta deny that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going. And that doesn't say to say that there's men on the opposite who still go with that intuition and take a calculated risk. You know what I'm saying? Some take an uncalculated risk and fuck it all up. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, it's like, yo, they're not gonna sacrifice their family, for something of intuition. You know what I'm saying? Nah, that wouldn't be wise.
I have a different perspective on intuition. Where I do agree men do disregard intuition. I think intuition gets disregarded because men are overstimulated. Like when you're overstimulated, you're overwhelmed, decision fatigue, and other stimuli. You don't have the freedom of mind to just be because you're in a constant state of motion. Intuition needs stillness. If you're not still, if you're not in a state of relaxation, intuition has no way to come in and do its thing because you got all these different thoughts that are fucking flying around your mind like mosquitoes, and you're fucking pestered by it all. So intuition may come in, but it's mixed in with all the other thoughts. So you swatting over, nope, 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 and then you just acting off of like, all right, I'm gonna just do what needs to be right now because I don't have, the liberation of to just be and just move with, you know, swiftness. It's like in martial arts. Like you gotta be in a state of no mind in order to just act spontaneously. Like we don't have that freedom to just be spontaneous because of all the different social shit going on. Where it's just like if I act in this spontaneous manner, this could cost me my livelihood. This could get me thrown in jail because of some rule or statute or some shit like that that I'm not aware of and not infringed on something, and now my livelihood is gone, or I didn't got with some woman I didn't act spontaneously with, and now I'm burned, and now I can't do nothing. So yeah, our intuition is cucked on so many levels.
You cook that, John, for sure. Because look,
The mosquito analogy, great. That shit was accurate as a bitch. Oh, man.
because see, that's because as the God, that's why I was like, and when you're like, yeah, because see, that's what it is. It's Yakub's institutions, the law institutions of the legal system. You got the hospital institution, the educational system. All of these different institutions of society have all of these different energetic holds on each person. They're like an octopus that sucks your energy, but it's not all the time just on a physical sense. It's in a emotional or energetic or in a spiritual sense where all of these different attacks are flying around the psyche, all these psychic attacks. Yeah, I might not be able to do this because there's some law or some statute that, so it doesn't allow for me to, I got to constantly be thinking calculatively. And so it makes me disregard the intuition by default, not necessarily by conscious choice. And plus, we live in a society that in the educational system, intuition is not a dominant tool that is taught to you how to use. You're taught in the school system how to use your conscious mind. You're not taught how to use your intuitive mind. So of course, when the heat gets on, your first instinct is to go conscious, not intuitive.
Hmm.
See, this is all, in my opinion, this is by design to get you
Hmm.
disconnected from your intuition as a man. It is my understanding that when I'm able to sit in stillness, some of the most divine downloads and degrees of understanding just start raining down on me with an open, closed mind. Well, my mind is just in stillness. And I feel like that is the utmost wisdom to operate from that space because those are the things that's telling you what's specifically designed for you. But we were never taught how to use that.
Hmm. It
And
makes me
this is why. So go ahead, God.
My bad. I thought you was done. No,
No, go ahead, God.
it makes me think of a story. I was talking to an old friend of mine. When I was in Alaska a few months ago on a work trip, and it was around the time like my old friend from like back in the days. His birthday was coming up, and I called him. Well, I didn't have his number, so I reached out to his mom. I reached out to his mom and his brother. His brother, he ain't never get back to me, and I was just like, all right, he's moving too slow. I was like, let me hit up his mom. I know for a fact I can get in touch with him through his mom. Hit up his mom, got his contact number, and I called him. And we were just talking, we were just having conversation, and he was telling me a story about like how back in like middle school he got a 0 on some math work because he didn't show his work. The answers were correct, but because he didn't show his work on the assignment, he didn't get credit for the correct answers. And so it just made me think
Mm.
about what you're saying regarding the not the lack of intuition, not being able to trust your intuition because it's designed to make you not feel that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I see that is directly that's a chess move. See, I look at my mind sees that like X-ray vision, like blind fury. It's like that look like a fifth that look like a fourth or fifth dimensional chess move that's invisible that you can't see to get you invisibly attached from your intuition. You see what I'm saying? It's a chess move that is covered by the educational system. It's teachers in there, it's a hallway, it's a building, you
Mm-hmm.
don't think nothing of it beyond that. But on the back end of that, the spiritual ramification, that's a move to get men away from intuition. And if you get men away from intuition, that also gets us in a certain disharmony with women, where some she might say, I don't trust what she say because what she say don't seem too practical, or what she's saying, I'm not seeing how I can solve this problem with that. See it's a connection there. Because you got the conscious and the subconscious mind. Conscious mind is masculine, feminine. The subconscious mind has a more feminine nature. These are the masculine and feminine energies that exist within the mind. So it's like, so how can men, I guess, start to listen a little bit more to their inner voice that can aid them into preventing being burnt out? A lot of times the burnout happens because you've made a decision that was not in alignment with your true self, because you weren't listening to your intuition, because you didn't know how to speak that language. That's how you got burnt out. You couldn't speak the language. You was illiterate. He does not speak his own language. You were illiterate in your intuitive language. So you made decisions out of that illiteracy, and now you're burnt out.
Yeah,
So, you know what I'm saying? So I would say, in whatever form of stillness that you have a stillness practice. It could be martial arts where you do some type of qigong, or riding your bike, or it could be in the gym, or it could be in the sauna, but have some form of a stillness practice where you can hear the messages that come to you that put you in alignment with you. That's something that's just not taught here in the wilderness of North America, because it's not, it want to disconnect you from that. So I recommend that, have a stillness practice.
I agree
Um,
100%. I don't have anything else to add on that one.
so
I would have said the same thing.
yeah, and so in light of landing this plane, man, how would you say that? Would you say that gratitude, and how does gratitude kind of, I guess, change your experience, with burnout, like being gracious and having an optimistic and positive mindset? Do you think that has like a connection with preventing a burnout, or what do you think the connection is there with your state of mind?
definitely, because you grateful for the little things. When you're in the hustle and bustle of life, all these distractions, you don't pay attention to the little things, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's always the big things and the big mission and the big objective. You don't slow down to appreciate how clean the air smells and tastes. You don't slow down to appreciate. Damn, I woke up this morning, I got all my arms, legs. I could actually function all the way properly with a full body. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the world, especially it being in the wilderness of North America, it keeps you so distracted that you don't appreciate the minuscule things, man. You know what I'm saying? Something that's having a nice brewed coffee that you could brew at your house and it tastes good, bro. Like, those things will get you by. It's usually the things that we look at outside of ourselves that are so grandiose that cause this discord within us. You know what I'm saying? That cause this confusion within us, because we're looking for the bigger picture and we're looking for the bigger things and we're looking for the grandiose things. We're not
Mm-hmm.
looking at the small, simplified things that make us keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you think
Mm-hmm.
about the times where you was broke and you ain't had no bread, the littlest things you was content with because that's all you had. You know what I'm saying? So if you keep that mindset, even when you come into abundance, man, you can never lose. You always appreciate life. You know what I'm saying? if you're grateful for the people, places, and things around you at all times, and you find things to be grateful for as a practice, bro, the big things ain't even gonna matter once you get to them. You know what I'm saying? It's like shit, man. Well, at least I got a roof over my head. At least I got clothes on my back. At least I got food to eat. You know what I'm saying? Those are the little things, and with those things, I'm living, so I'm good. Everything else is just a byproduct or an afterthought.
It's powerful.
Gratitude is the best attitude to project your longitude and latitude.
Boom.
Yeah, yeah, that's something that something that I constantly have to remind myself to not overlook as I look at higher horizons and stuff like that. So that's good stuff. I appreciate you both for sharing that. Somebody out there needed to hear that. Somebody
Fact.
caught that.
Facts,
Good
because
stuff.
to add on too, like to conclude, because you know what I'm saying, I know we've been building for a minute, but I realized the ultimate benefit or the ultimate pleasure of having wealth is giving. And when you could give to other people and make their life easier, even when you could just give a little bit, wherever it is, you know what I'm saying? And I recommend this for any man out there. Like, find a way to give back. You feel me? Like, it could be as simple as, like, for me, like, I went to Waffle House on break one time, had me an all-star breakfast, right? Some ladies came, sat behind me, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know who they were. But I knew out of all the tables in Waffle House that was free, y'all just decided to sit behind me. Like, why ain't y'all sit with some space or something like that? You know what I'm saying? But when that thought entered my mind, I was like, man, I shouldn't be thinking like that, man. They free to sit where they choose. You know what I'm saying? And mind you,
Mm.
I didn't see these ladies while I had that thought. I just hear them. You know what I'm saying? So as they sit behind me, one of the ladies lost her sister that day. So they in there upset, you know, they kind of distraught, but they still having a good time and enjoying themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
I get up, they're all elderly women. I'm like, damn, and I'm over here being mad because they wanted to sit behind me, man. I'm like, man, that ain't even right. And so I wouldn't pay for their breakfast, man. You feel me? And it made me feel good. Like, regardless, it just made me feel good about myself. And it's like, bro, I gotta incorporate this into my everyday life. And the thing is about giving without nothing in return. That's the ultimate gift of wealth. When you could give, you don't expect nothing in return, and you could change somebody's life somehow, some way. You know, that's the ultimate gift of wealth.
That's powerful. I love it. Giving from a place of internal personal abundance where you don't have to expect somebody to give you something back. I like that for sure. It's powerful, God. And so this last question, I know I said the last question before. I'm sorry, I said that 30 minutes. But this is the absolute last question to conclude this episode from When the Gods Build, man, about burnout. Question is, what is one actionable step that a brother could take this week right here going forward to be mindful of burnout and to make sure that he can put something practical in place for himself to prevent burnout? What is one thing he can do this week, start now, to prevent burnout? I would say, like I said before, start thinking about a stillness practice. Do not disregard that because you feel too busy or too overwhelmed. The thing is, my dad always still says this, and I appreciate him saying this. He'll say, hey man, you're going to pay either way. You're going to pay on two ends. You're going to pay on the front end or the back end. You can control things on the front end, but you might not be able to control it on the back end. So before you get burnt out on the back end, take ownership and control of that on the front end. Have a stillness practice. You'll definitely love it.
Hey, Uncle P got them gems, man.
Patrick, shout out to Tanya. Appreciate you both.
For me, man, I would say it's a basic practice. Set aside a time, whether it be morning, noon, or night. Get you a gratitude journal. It could be a small book. It don't got to be something big. And whatever your set time is, morning, noon, or night, write 3 things down that you are grateful for every day. I guarantee you by that 7th day, you will feel way more appreciative about life and what you got. Like, a lot of the things that you stressing about in life, by the end of that 7th day, you won't be stressing about the bullshit you stressing about. You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna have a book full of things that be so grateful for. You feel me? So when you get in the practice of identifying gratitude, you could see it in your life and accept it more in your life to be more grateful. You know what I'm saying? That's my saying too. In order to be great, you gotta be grateful. So I say have a gratitude journal, and whatever your set time is to write 3 things down that you're grateful for, write those 3 things down that you're grateful for every day. And then at the end of the week, come back and read all those things.
Peace, God.
Peace.
to have something different and unique from what y'all said, I'd say go outside and
Man.
feel the elements on your skin.
Yeah.
Now it's him. Now we gonna get on him about his connection. Now
It's too
I'm gonna smoke him.
I know he is.
Soon as
I
we
know
go
he
into the back in the dressing room, I'm gonna smoke him. Please.
facts. We can
Nah.
clip all this out too, so hey, it don't really
Yeah.
matter. Nah,
Yeah.
God,
Yeah. This is
yeah,
good episode. 2 hours. This week, 2 hours and 3 minutes. That's good. Real good stuff.
you doing your thing, God. Doing your thing, man.
You smoked that, John G.
Hey, yo, there's so many clips we can get from this joke, man. It's
Whew.
one of those episodes that people gonna appreciate, bro. I'm telling you.
For sure. This John clips galore for sure. I'm gonna
Yeah,
record that intro. That's why I was good. Yeah, I can record the intro now. I can make all the
yeah.
mistakes when I'm pissing y'all off.
I see what you're saying, though. I see what you're saying. You just gotta see it through, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah,
Hard
I
to
was telling you, all right, let's just get to it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And then we can do it on the back end, just add it in that jump.
Yeah.
Smooth stuff. I was thinking too, like you know how like podcasts be having I need to be having a podcast, and then they might have the B rolls. We need some B roll, and this one for sure we need some B roll to show the imagery of some of the stuff that really drive a lot of those points home on some good B roll on this jump.
See, I can't get back into the session. Oh man.
Okay.
Well, you want to conclude, God? You know what I'm saying? So we
Yeah, we'll
can.
conclude. Yeah,
Yeah.
so, in conclusion, we appreciate everybody for checking this particular episode out. This episode is for the people, for the world, to help raise the energetic consciousness and frequency of the planet Earth, so that we as men can play our part in being better for our families and for the world at large. So if you appreciated this message, please, like the channel at the bottom, hit the like button, comment some of your experiences that you may have had, dealing with burnout and things of that sort. We would love to hear from you. And let's attack this thing together, man, and be more energetically abundant and sound men for ourselves. So we're going to conclude, man. I'm sincere,
I'm alive, victorious.
and this is When the Gods Build.
Peace. Man, you just joined in. It was
I
right.
know, man.
This
We can
all
shoot it.
good.
Let's shoot it again, man. I was texting you that area right now where you at. It ain't. It was cool sometimes, but then it was
It would get
Yeah,
choppy at points. Yeah.
yeah. Why y'all tell me like 2 hours in? Y'all
Well, I
telling me like
texted. I
mad
texted in
late.
the chat. I didn't know if you saw it. I texted in the chat. I
Yeah,
don't know
you.
if you're on your phone or if you're on
Yeah,
what. I texted them.
you texted like 20 minutes ago.
But it's not bad, like where it's like, oh damn, we can't hear you at all. It was just at moments where you were talking, it got a little bit choppy. Like you can still make out what you're saying, you can still hear what you're saying, but it's just like at certain times it did get choppy, you know.
Yeah,
You'll see on the playback, you
yeah.
know.
It ebbs and flows. Like right now, you look pretty good, look pretty clear. But when it get bad, it get kind of it ebbs and flows.
I'm on the Wi-Fi now. Like I'm usually not on the Wi-Fi because the cell network is pretty stable. Yet because I'm literally right by the Wi-Fi, it's probably the best time to be on it. So
Hmm.
Yeah, the
Nah, I get it.
Wi-Fi look crispy though versus not being on it. Yeah.
No, it's all good. You
mm.
want to you want to reshoot that again? Let's reshoot that again, so he be included and he on the screen. So I'm gonna say it again. So in conclusion of this message and this
Well,
episode of,
I was still
oh,
answering the
that's right,
question too.
that's
I was
right,
answering the question. This shit cut me.
that's right. All right, go ahead. Action.
Yeah, to be different, from what y'all said. Go outside and be in the elements.
Mm.
Go outside, be in the elements. If it's too cold in your area, I understand. Take a bath. Run some water, take a bath, light a candle or some incense, and yeah, just be in the elements. That'll
Mm,
that'll be a good way to practice stillness because you're giving your body time and your mind time to just relax.
that's powerful, God. Peace, God. Yeah, so in conclusion of this message, this message is brought to you by the Supreme Brothers of When the Gods Build. We appreciate you guys for tuning in with us. This message is to help raise the consciousness and the energetic frequency of the planet Earth and allow for us as men to play our part to help, contribute and do what we can do to make this whole existence on planet Earth better. So we thank you for tuning in. My name is Sincere,
I'm alive, victorious.
I'm sure universal.
and this is When the Gods Build. Peace.
Peace, peace, peace.